So here is a new project. It's Kawasaki ZL600 cruiser style bike. It has genuinely turned up like this. It's missing lots of parts. I mean, don't get me wrong, I've got the tank and the seat, but they weren't on at all, and I'm not sure why. It's, at first glance, it's missing an airbox, which I've had a little look online, and they're not easy to get at all. It's missing the battery. I have no idea if it's a good engine or gearbox. I've heard it turn over on a battery and start for 4 seconds. It didn't even really properly start, it just sounded like it was going to. And that was by putting fuel directly down into the carbs. So, what's the plan for today? I think the first part of the plan is to see if the petrol tank is holding fuel, see if the fuel's coming out, make sure it's not completely rusted in there, and try and get it running off the fuel tank is potentially the first part of the plan today. So let's see if we can get this thing up and running. Apparently there's a hole in the exhaust, or 2 holes in the exhaust down on the downpipes. What are we looking at? Let's see. Oh, right, yeah. Oh, I see. There used to be a connecting pipe there. Oh, God. What am I going to do there? Don't know. Maybe patch that up. Block the holes. I doubt they need to cross over the gases. So yeah, this is the next project. I mean, the good thing about it is it's a bit more of a genuine project. The last few bikes I've been getting have needed polishing up and silly little bits and pieces done, and they were ready to sell on, which is great. I mean, great quick projects are brilliant. They're great for turning over, making a few pounds, and then, you know, trading up, which is ultimately what this is about. Trading up, see if I can buy a Porsche or something in the end. So I'm going to pop down to the shop, get some fuel, come back and decide whether I'm going to run the fuel tank to the carbs or put a separate tank, just get it fired up and idling. One of the first things we need to do to see if this tank's okay is looking for rust. Now there is some rust in there, but not enough to concern me. It's much better than other tanks I've seen. Also, there is still some fuel in here, which means underneath that there won't be rust. You can always put an inline filter on with a rusty tank. However, the filter gets bunged up quite quickly because the rust just blocks it up every couple of months. You're better off treating the rust and carrying on. There's not enough rust in here to treat, really. Next thing I'm going to do is put some fuel in, slosh that around, and see if I can get that to come out of the tap down there, because that will give it a bit of a clean anyway. And also we'll see if the tap is flowing. That's the next step. If the tap is flowing, then there's no reason why we can't connect this tank up to the bike and get the bike running from the tank. But that's high hopes at this stage. That there's a reason someone has had this tank off and not connected it and been running it through its line straight into the carbs. So we'll give that a shot and see what happens. Yes, the tap is working. That's a good thing. See the colour? I'm just clearing out the little bits of rust. So I know that that tap is flowing, so that's fine at this stage. As long as it flows on one of the settings, prime, on, or reserve, that meets all the needs you ever need, really. I don't know if it has a low fuel light, does it? No, it doesn't. It has a reserve tank, which is fine. I believe that tap's working and they'll all work separately anyway. I think I'm going to connect this tank up properly, and I don't really need to do any work around here. I know the choke cable is snapped. It's not doing anything. I can't tell much more until the fuel's in. Carbs seem okay. I checked the if you push up the lifters, let them drop properly, you can check the diaphragms up in here. If it goes up and down as it should, there's some sort of suction, then that's completely normal. I feel like this bike will start up and idle, although with them holes in the exhaust it's going to be particularly loud. So I'm going to throw the tank on, connect it up. I might use a new pipe. Oh, I don't know, this pipe seems alright. I'll see. Looks more like a bike now. So technically that tank is hooked up. There should already be fuel spilling into the carbs. We want the fuel to get into all 4 carbs. We can help that along by lifting the bike up and straightening it out. It only goes into the carbs through normal flow. I'll put some more fuel in to the tank. I'm going to hook it up to my fan battery at this stage. I don't think the moped one will be strong enough. I'll hook it up to my fan and let's see what we get. More fuel in the tank just to make sure some of the rust in there is diluted enough. I've connected the battery up. Some lights come on the dash when we switch it on, so it's doing something. Indicators. Oh, the back ones. doing anything. Oh, switched off. Horn? No horn at this stage. It might need to be running for horn. I'm going to just turn it over a few times, see what happens. It might just loosen up the pistons. It could fire up, but it's highly unlikely. Nothing at all. Now, I don't know when the last time this was fired up. The choke is all kind of stiff and stuck, but I'm going to try and get that working. I think that's choke on. I tried to grease up the choke earlier. That did feel a bit easier. I'm going to see if that's choke on. I'm going to try giving it a hand. It's not looking happy. There you go, choke's fully on now. It came out more. switched it off because I completely forgot to check if it has any oil in it at all. Where's the window? It's down there. Let's have a look. Yeah, it does. So let's see, that seemed to idle almost. If it idles, I'd like it to idle for a couple of minutes just to get this engine greasing itself up. Coming off the headers, but they may just be cleaning. I bet they have oil drip on them. It's not sounding too bad at all. Let's see if the idle is right or wrong. Let's try and fire it up without the choke. Otherwise it doesn't hurt for it to run for a few minutes with the choke on. It likes to choke. I'll let it run for a few minutes with the choke on. thing I really need to know is if it has a gearbox. So I'm going to push it into first, just out of curiosity. I'll be wary, I'm going to have the front brake covered. It could shoot off, anything could happen if the clutch wasn't, you know, engaged. But I'm going to see if it gets into first gear. Obviously I'm on the wires, so I can't go far. So overall, the engine is okay. Obviously them huge holes in the exhaust need patching up. I don't really know what I'm going to do with them, if I'm being honest. Some sort of exhaust wrap, specialist wrap or something like that. At this stage I need to get some cone filters for the carbs. Front brake is working but very stiff, it just needs cleaning and just, you know, going over like we've done before in other videos. Lots of rusty parts need looking at, taking off, cleaning. The great thing at this stage is that the carbs are holding fuel and the bike starts with choke on. I think the carbs might need to come off and might need a good clean. I'm reluctant to do that because it's a right pain having to synchronise them again, but it's worth doing, and I have the sync machine. It's worth getting it right. So far I'm pleased. You know, it starts, it engaged in first gear. The shaft drive is obviously working. The front brake's working but needs cleaning. I don't know about the rear brake yet. Some of the lights were on, front indicators, rear brake light, and front and rear light was on like normal. Rear tyres bald, that will need changing eventually. Whole bike needs a real good clean. This is going to be an interesting build. It's going to cost a lot just to get it to maybe a 12 or 1300 pound bike, but it's okay. That's kind of what we're here for. That's what we do. I'm quite pleased so far. As always, any questions, any comments, if you want any help with your own bikes, let me know. You can always bring your bikes here. If you're in or near London, I can always come out and spend a few hours with you if you need a hand on any of your bikes, as long as you don't mind me filming your bike for my channel. You don't have to be on the film, but the bike does. You can always cover your number plate if you're worried about that. So yeah, that's where we are at this stage. I need to get online and do some ordering. I wasn't going to show you this carb clean because you've seen carb clean before on my channel, but all 1, 2 and 3 were fine. Carb number 2, which is possibly the first carb, the main carb, my god, it's gunked up. Look at the tray. That is unbelievable. Absolutely, I've never seen one as bad as that, ever. I wasn't even gonna do this carb clean. And the fact that I did this one last, I was thinking, oh man, it didn't need it. But my god, that isn't gonna be doing anything at all. And you've got all this gunk. But that is, whoa. So yeah, basically I'm doing a carb clean. And and that is unbelievable. I'm going to let that one soak for a while I get all this looked at. I'm going to give this individual carb a really good clean. Clean the carbs, and I've set up my carb sync Rynizer. Now I'm no good at syncing carbs on. I can get them close-ish. This carb sync will never get them spot on anyway. I'm just showing you roughly. You set up the carb synchronizer to carb 1, 2, 3 and 4 using these slots. Every engine has slots for synchronizers, carb ones at least. Now I've put some fuel direct into here. I'm going to put more from this bottle. It leaks a little bit, so we need to be careful. I have a fire extinguisher in my car just in case, but it'll be fine for a couple of minutes. We don't need our air filters or pods at this stage, although ideally your engine would be warm, and ideally you'd have it all set up fully, including your air filter, before you do this. But generally this is about these two carbs working together, the other side carbs working together, and then both banks working together. So to get these two at the same sync, that means 1 and 2. If they're far off each other, I use this screw here to get these two running at around the same area. I do exactly the same with the right two. I use the screw over on that side, and then I'll have a left bank running at the same and a right bank running near the same, but the left bank and my right bank might need to be balanced together, and that is the middle screw down there, which is hard to get to.